All right. Well, welcome everybody to our monthly meetup here at Vbout. Today we have an amazing topic for you. We're going to be discussing all things e-commerce marketing automation. A topic we spent enormous amount of time building technology for, especially integrations, understanding the dynamics of e-commerce transactions, e-commerce growth, what ticks and drive sales for e-commerce companies, be it small, of 100,000 sales, even $10,000 in sales, all the way to hundreds of millions in sales. So we had the luxury of working with some of these companies to understand exactly how they run things internally on the marketing side, to be very specific. So we're going to unpack with you a lot of things today around that topic. If you are working closely with a client as an agency and you're running their e-commerce marketing for them, or whether you're an e-commerce store yourself and you want to learn a little bit on some of the things you can set up to optimize, this is a good event for you. I want to welcome everybody on the call with us today. We have 33 here. It is live broadcasted on Facebook as well, so we'll have some other attendees from the other side. I have with me Alex, BW, Blaine, Cicely, Dave and David, Deborah, Emily, Yumi Kim. We have Few Fireflies, Gary Paulson, and Gary Cassell, Jeff Newton. We have Jim, Joanna, John Drinkwater. Welcome, Cassandra, Kevin, Letitia, Martin, Michael Cooper. We have Miguel. We have Molly, Mugur, Randy, Rick, Russell, Saleh, Sergio, Shade, Stanislav, Sunny, and Tawana. So thank you so much for joining us at the beginning of the event. It means a lot. Many of you have attended early, and many of you are joining us from across the world. It's probably 1 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning for some of you. So I want to welcome you, and a special shout out for those who are staying up and learning. We do these events once a month. We bring forth some of the best topics in marketing. Anything around marketing automation, AI in marketing, especially this year with everything that's going on, and we present it to you. So this is sponsored by Vbout. Many of you here also are on the Vbout platform or have heard of it. To kind of give a little background before I get started, our community here is about 8 years in the making. We have 20,000 members that are not only Vbout clients, but they're also community members that participate, they digest the topics, they share the content. And I often get people saying, thank you for doing these events. It really helped me kickstart my career. So the key thing of these events is to help you learn, help us spread the knowledge and get your feedback. And perhaps you can connect with somebody and teach them something as well. I would love to invite you to our Facebook group where we announce all the latest releases. We announce events like this. We also have some latest tips and tricks. We do some tutorial videos. It's a nice active, dynamic group of marketers. So George, who is with me on the call and helped me put this entire thing together, will be dropping in the chat some links for you. We'd love for you to connect with us on Facebook. We promise you, we don't push sales. We know that when people are ready for Vbout, they're ready for Vbout. So this is the link for it. I hope you join us and become part of our community. Also, we are starting to push TikTok a bit. We have a little content scheduled. So we'd love also some support from your end. We will support you back with a follow. Again, similar concept topic condensed into minutes so you can learn all things marketing automation. All right, so the agenda for today, I'm going doing the general intros. We'll go over presentation, which is going to be about 40 minutes long. So I would love for you to grab your water, grab your snack. And during that presentation, drop in your questions in the chat, be it here on Zoom or be it on Facebook. And my colleague, George, will help me moderate and I will answer your questions. If it's something not related to the topic, I would love to leave it towards the end. And if it's something that requires me answering more than a minute, I would like to apologize, but we can keep these on a separate call just to be mindful of everybody's time. Okay. All right. So as the company sponsoring this event, I want to talk a little bit about Vbout. Vbout started in 2014 out of a digital agency need to manage all sorts of campaigns for lead generation, nurture, and retention, and became its own startup. So we built the stack. It's been about 8 years now in the making. And we have done some amazing work with very little team and very little resources, all thanks to you and our client base. So what we set out to build is a marketing automation stack that's easy to use in general, okay, much easier than a lot of the competitors, that's provided to you at an amazing price with premium support. And now we are starting to roll out AI capabilities and predictive capabilities into Vbout. Not just the buzzword of typing something and getting a response, but really putting this to work in your marketing world, okay? And you're gonna see a lot of companies in the same space releasing things in that aspect, be it HubSpot's new Hub Chat, or I forgot what they called it. You can type command to get reports and to add people to the database. You'll see a lot of these changes also being rolled up into marketing platforms, thanks to ChatGPT. But primarily on taking all that data that Vbout collects, be it on the cookie side, on the purchase side, relevant to e-commerce, be it on other, and being able to digest or ingest this into your AI engine, which we build ourselves, or we can rely on other, like whether it's open AI or other models available on Amazon, and then digested back in form of actionable data and intent that you can upsell and cross-sell. Okay, so a lot of things AI are being baked into Vbout bit by bit, and that's really what differentiates us and sets us apart on the market. We have about 10 plus tools working together. So from the top of the funnel, we have landing page builder, form builder, and pop-up builder, so you can capture those leads. And then we do all the tracking and automation follow-ups, so you can nurture leads. And finally, on the retention side, we have the tool sets to allow you to do brand awareness through social, to be able to do some retargeting. Obviously, email marketing is a big part of Vbout, and a lot of other smart tools, smaller tool sets as well. So we are a bunch of marketing-focused tools working together to form what we call the marketing stack. Okay. We integrate very well with tons of other platforms, and thank you, John, for the early shout out. John said that he's integrated Vbout with Zapier and Pabbly and a few other systems, and he's a fan of Vbout, so thank you, John. And at the end of the day, what we allow you to do, especially if you're an e-commerce company, to track everything in Vbout, from their visits to email activity to SMS engagement, purchase history, and a lot of other things that makes that data actionable. Okay. So we have you own your first party cookie data, and you can take that and make audiences out of it, better retargeting on Facebook or AdWords or others, and so on. And final slide here on Vbout, we are right in between the overkills and the underkills of the world. Underkills, we refer to them as a stack that's, it does the job for an entry-level business, sends out an email campaign. It does great on building a very basic landing page. But when it comes to the deeper spectrum of things, it will lack a lot of features. So if you start to advance your marketing, you'll find them lacking. And then you have the overkills. HubSpot is an amazing product, but it's very expensive for many of you if you want to deploy the full stack and you have, let's say, more than a few thousand contacts in the database. It becomes pricey. And we live in an age where the number of contacts doesn't correlate with how much money you're making. I've seen companies have 100,000 contacts making $0, and companies have 500 contacts and making $1 million. So it's all not the quantity anymore, it's about the quality, and that's what we focus here on Vbout. So with that being said, we are right in the middle. We are going to be powered fully by AI on all features, and that's where we fall in the spectrum. I would love to talk to you if you have any needs for marketing automation for agency or for yourself as an e-commerce business. George will drop in a link in the chat for our success team. You can talk to them if you have a need for software like Vbout. So, George, quick pause here before we start the topic. Can you hear me okay? Do we have any questions?
Yes, Richard, I can hear you. We have only one question from Saleh. He's asking how much AI involved.
I'll give you an example, Saleh, and the question is very general, but for instance, you send out emails through VBout. VBout starts to learn, and that's a branch of AI, is machine learning in marketing. We learn from all your patterns and open rates what's the best time for every one of your contacts to open email. Very simple. We also do it on SMS. We do it inside automation, so we can predict the most likely time for somebody to open and engage. So that learning is not just ChatGPT command. This is actually internal modeling that we built and allow you to just let us decide the best time to send out an email. So that decision is not made by a human, is made by an engine. And that's the kind of leap from traditional marketing, which is 100% human dependent, to hybrid of you designing the emails and letting the machine decide the other half for you, which is maybe the time, right? We have a few other things like content generation. You can create an email on the go, which you can do in ChatGPT, but because it's integrated with VBout on an OpenAI, you can actually create it in VBout, save it for later use, copy it, paste it into the builder, and that's a very easy transition. So this is when we take really what you see on the high buzz of ChatGPT and is being applied directly into your stack. Okay, cool. All right, George, anything else before we get started with the topic?
No, all good for now.
Cool. All right, so let's talk about all things e-commerce marketing automation. How many of you here run their own e-commerce shop, or they manage a client that has an e-commerce shop? Please drop us in the chat your answers. I would love to kind of gauge who here has some experience and who's starting out from scratch. Don't shy out to put it in the chat whether you are here or you are on Facebook. George, I can't see Facebook really well right now, so I need your help on that front. Cool.
Yeah, we have for Facebook. I'm monitoring it, but no questions yet.
All right. So I got a few of you. Stevie says I do. Gary as well. Molly starting in Ecommerce, building out a site now. Okay, very early stage. So that's great. This is a great topic for you. John did before. He used Gravity Form for payment. So that's good. Stanislav runs shops for clients. And a few others are coming in as well. So Nico as well. So thank you guys. I think, e-commerce marketing can be a topic for days, quite frankly, but I'm going to just cover three main areas. One is going to be why e-commerce marketing and the benefits, understanding the client persona, and then I'll give you some tangible examples from VBout in terms of workflows that we see every single company finding success using e-commerce, deploy and sell for their clients. Some of these you might know, some of these you might not, but we'll brainstorm some ideas together, and I would love to keep this as engaging as possible. All right, so why you deploy e-commerce automation? Obviously, I like to follow charts. There are studies done across the board. From this source, you can see what are the main benefits of marketing automation. Obviously, the number one is it streamlines your marketing. A lot of things we do as marketers is repetitive. So if I'm an agency, I'm running 5 clients with an e-commerce landscape, I can have the same exact automations being deployed for every single one of these clients, except the content, the branding might differ, right? So that repetitive task can be automated. If people buying from me, I'm emailing them a welcome email from the CEO, explaining to them what the product is about and what to expect. Imagine you're doing this manually. So this is a very basic repetitive task that can be deployed using e-commerce marketing automation. It allows you to manage and control data better. Oftentimes, you might see in your e-commerce shop highly focused e-commerce activities, buying behavior, some geolocation. But when it comes to their marketing activity, it might be decentralized. So with that, consolidating under e-marketing automation platform, or e-commerce automation platform, will allow you to bridge that gap a bit. Okay. And I emphasize on syncing the buyer's behavior between your e-commerce shop and your marketing platform of choice, is really important. Not just first name, last name, email, but obviously we're talking about abandoned cart purchases, lifetime values, what kind of products they ordered, and making those as easy as possible to create segments around matters a lot. So streamlining your marketing is definitely one of the main benefits of marketing automation. It reduces cost. As a direct effect of doing all this and streamlining your processes, you're eliminating a lot of manual tasks that you need to do on a daily basis, or maybe you're hiring somebody to do it. You might also be paying systems to run things for you on the back end. They are defragmented, and each one of these systems can cost a lot. So that manual work is costly, or that software-based decentralization can be costly. I already had somebody send out a follow-up upsell on every order manually to every one of their clients. Now, they did it well when they had 10 purchases a month, but then when they started to grow to 100 to 200, things start to cost more to do follow-ups. They hired somebody costing them thousands of dollars. So eventually all these things were reduced. It boosts conversion. So 60% of e-commerce marketers says email marketing and automation. And I know these quotes might be focused on email marketing, but what you'll see soon is that's not only email anymore. Email is just one piece of the puzzle. And marketing automation contributed to more sales, an increase in visits, engagement, and better insights into the results of those campaigns. Super important. Sending out an email and seeing the ROI of that email is super huge. Pushing some social media activity and then noticing traffic increase, and that leading to conversions also can provide more visibility. Now, not to mention that all these different touch points that happen in between the first awareness click to kind of engaging and learning about the brand and ultimately buying, because most buying decisions, especially as your price go up, the buying decision takes longer, right? A product that's $5 might take 5 minutes, but a product that's $100 might take 100 hours, okay, of research. I'm just generally speaking. These are not actual data. I'm just giving you some correlation between the increase in price of the product and the increase of the time frame it takes to buy. And in that time frame, there are lots of things happening. People researching you, consuming your product information, researching your competitors, and so on. So a product or deploying your marketing automation strategy for e-commerce will help you track a lot of these touch points. Okay. Now, what this will allow you to do is you can create some win backs. Let's say you're tracking those that have added items to the cart, started the sign-up process, and never converted. Being able to follow up with these people automatically, be it via follow-up email and SMS, or be it via a special retargeting campaign only for those with a coupon. I mean, these are ways that you can deploy it. So you gain lost business and increases conversion. So with that, it increases the numbers across the board, and this is exactly what every single e-commerce company, and please guys back me up here if anybody has anything to add. These are three different metrics that e-commerce companies struggle with. One is the cost per acquisition, the customer lifetime value, and the retention. These are three metrics that every single email or e-commerce marketing manager obsess over. So and obviously there are other metrics, but I'm just focusing on the three. Is the cost to acquire the client, the lifetime value of the client, and the retention. So these are three things that I know they obsess over. Anybody would like to add so far to this? So Stanislav is talking about WooCommerce automations are very interesting to me. That's great. We'll talk about some examples we can deploy, especially that Vivat integrates. Jeff manages a large email list for a hospital. That's great, John. I'm not sure if there will be any transactions involved. Maybe selling like a kidney operation as an e-commerce transaction. That would be insane, but you never know. All right, and John is saying, yet small businesses start to realize that automation is possible. if you're starting a shop and you want to create 9 or 10 different winning campaigns, it really doesn't take a lot. It might take you half a day to set everything up, test it, or even a full day, right? That's going to be the building block of your business. So absolutely, John, that's a good point. All right. We'll also talk about decreasing churn rate. So the way it decreases churn rate is you automate follow-ups with those who haven't made a purchase at a certain date, as an example. People who don't buy from you will probably forget about you, and people who will forget about you, they will find your competitors and they will buy again, but they might buy it from them if they offer a better service, a better product, and better win-back campaigns. So this is just a chart from Shopify, and they noticed that small change in retention leads to big results. So that means clients that you're never following up with, by doing very simple, basic email check, even phone call check, voicemail drops, SMS, you can eventually retain more customers, which ultimately across the board will increase the numbers. And we're talking about increasing the lifetime value here, guys, as one of those obsessive metrics for e-commerce shops. And decreasing churn rate is one of the main benefits of doing that. And as you know, it's a lot more expensive to get new clients than retain new ones. So e-commerce marketing automation will allow you to be more in touch with existing clients and provide that VIP treatment if needed. Cool. The beauty about marketing automation for e-commerce is that you can reach clients across multiple channels: email, SMS, web push notifications, retargeting. Soon we'll have integrations with voice drops, snail mail to be able to send out something via an email, via old-fashioned mail. I mean, there are lots of ways you can deploy marketing automation for e-commerce that goes beyond email. And that's the beauty about multi-touch point and being able to deploy a product that gives you those capabilities. And finally, it makes attribution easier because you want to know where you're spending your money and how you're getting the value for that money. You're sending out an email. As that email was the last touch point before someone made the purchase. So you can do that attribution in Viva. Somebody clicked on an ad campaign on YouTube where you're running a video ad that you spent a lot of money on versus a very cheap graphic that you built internally, and sometimes that yielded more results. You might want to track these metrics, and Viva give you full visibility on these things, so you can stack rules. For example, you can say, give me all the leads that came from YouTube. The UTM campaign name is video, and maybe lifetime value is over $1,000. When we say lifetime value, we're talking about somebody making, like, let's say 10 purchases totaling of $1,000. All that's a lifetime value. Okay. So based on that data, which is attribution, you can kind of learn to cut down costs on maybe ad campaign on YouTube because it's not yielding a lot of results, and emphasize more on email marketing. So these are some of the great decisions you have to make as an e-commerce marketer, of course. I forgot one here, which is dynamic personalization. You can certainly personalize things on the go at scale when you're deploying an e-commerce marketing automation platform. Primarily with all the variables that the system will track. You can create emails, you can create workflows that fork and change direction based on certain buying decisions. So there are lots to do when it comes to dynamic personalization through e-commerce. All right. And at the end, all that data that comes into one place will enhance your storytelling through data. You want to know the campaign that triggered the most results, the products that are selling the most, the country that is yielding the most sales, and perhaps if SMS has gotten you more sales than email as a channel. So that's a nice story to tell. And you can combine all this into a nice dashboard on Viva, and you can tell that data. And we hope any product you deploy here, even though I emphasize on Viva because it's a sponsor of this event, but any product you deploy, you should be able to tell a story through the data and the dashboard reporting that they offer. All right. Any questions so far?
Yes, Richard, we have a good question from Ben.
Mhm.
Will the system AI automatically send at times it identifies as best times, or will it advise? Is it fully autonomous or partially?
Yes, fully autonomous. It requires some learning, and this is Jeff, right? You said, George?
Sorry, Bill.
Who was it? Who was it again? Jeff or
Bill.
Bill, sorry. So Bill, it is fully autonomous. It requires some learning. I think the average is about 7 campaigns. And we take a lot of different data metrics because we have, I would say, I can safely say close to billion record in database, that we have enough data to learn and some repetitive data. So we know, generally speaking, some of the contacts, previous history, when is the best time for them to engage. We also have the learning curve and your industry. So based on your industry, we learn from other clients on the system that it's the best time to get the engagement is around this time. It's fully autonomous. It's a setting that you click in VBout. You say predictive sending, start and end time. The only thing you need to worry about is having enough time to execute the campaign. If you need the campaign to execute in 1 hour because you have a deadline, that's not the best strategy for send. But if you have a campaign that could have 5 to 7 days to execute, because of the range of people might vary. If you have 50,000 people, you have to say from Monday to Sunday, I might have different open rates at different times. So this is the optimal thing: is you have enough time to execute the campaign. You've sent about 7 to 8 campaign already through VBout. The system will have enough information to predict the best time to send. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so I have Stanislav is asking, can you also talk about ways to grow an online academy with VBout automations and WP WooCommerce site? That's great, Stanislav. It's obviously the education space is loaded with sample retargeting when it comes, especially, let's assume buying a course is an e-commerce transaction. You can track things, and I think this is how we work with hundreds of different, if not thousands, of educational client in the education space. They set up flags. So you have obviously the abandoned cart flag, adding course to the cart, not buying. You have also somebody starting the course and not finishing certain chapters. Maybe we can dive into it when we get to the example parts. So Jeff is saying, I use VBout to drive potential orthopedic patients to our live and online lecture series. Over the course of 1 year of email follow-ups, patient tracking resulted to $2.7 million. Wow. And new joint replacement surgeries. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate your feedback here. Right there, guys, you can see tracking purchases from emails and activities you do is huge. And I'm pretty sure VBout does not track everything going on in e-commerce. Jeff, you probably have much more than that in sales. But in terms of us tracking the results from the things you do through VBout, I think it's pretty spot on for the most part. That's a great case
study. Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions on Facebook, George?
On Facebook, no questions yet, Richard. We still have some questions here, but if you want, we can continue and then pause after a few minutes.
All right, sure. I can answer something relevant to this topic if I feel like it's something in the future. All right, so Bill's asking, will there be a report that show improvements in open as a result in AI? So Bill, we did this internally. It's not live, and you can obviously run your own reports in VBout, export campaigns you've done through AI and without AI, which is the predictive sending, and you can compare them via Excel sheet, very basic comparison chart. But we've seen in VBout open rates go up from 14, 16% average all the way to 28 and 30%. So it's almost double. But the sender needs to have proper sending across the board. Not only that one thing, if you're a spammer and you deploy that strategy, I don't think it's going to get you results. Anyway, we don't let spammers send things through VBout. We track those and we shut them down. But if you are deploying everything in the book, and we have so much content on proper sending, email marketing, optimizing your reputation, and so on. If you focus on all of that and you deploy predictive sending, I can almost I would say at 90% confidence that you will see optimization in your open rates. That's all I have to say about that. All right, so Sunny's asking, any advice on how to best use ChatGPT with VBout? I saw you paid the plus version. We are building some things in there. One thing that we already built, which was previously, I mean, ChatGPT, guys, there are lots of refinement, but it's based on existing OpenAI. They created an interface for OpenAI that's easy for everybody to use, whereas before it didn't have that interface, which is why it's exploded. It also has cheaper utilization. It also has some better correlation between generative command line output. So with that being said, with all the geeky words here, which I probably threw in a couple, we already had ChatGPT a few months when it deployed email content generation. But let me come back to that topic because it's a huge topic. We're going to be building an entire session on, talking about integrating ChatGPT, OpenAI into your marketing in general, the impact of that on your marketing, and how it will probably correlate in VBout. So I would like to come back to that. Okay, Stanislav, I'll come back to you through examples in this later section. And yeah, and John has a good case study. John, if you don't mind dropping your email again, I definitely have it. I'd love to follow up with you to build a case study together. All right. Let's move on about talking about identifying the customer journey, because if you want to build a proper customer journey, you need to understand your clients. Not all content is made for all people. And not only that, not all content is made for the right buyer stage for all people. So with that being said, we advise you to do some research on your customer journey. We try to do it as often as we can at VBout. Sometimes we lack short because it's a very rapid changing company, but industry. But from an e-commerce standpoint, you need to understand a little bit your buyer's journey. So it starts obviously with defining your persona, who you're targeting, be it their demographics, geographics, psychographic, firmographic, how much they make, buying patterns. You can do some analysis based on your existing. If you have one client or you have 10, you can do that sort of study, right? That's not hard to do. You can conduct surveys if you have a lot more than that to help you, or you can actually deploy surveys on LinkedIn, a few other channels, and incentivize a little bit, with gift cards, if you really want to build some tangible data based on real responses. I've seen companies deploy e-commerce marketing surveys on LinkedIn groups, and they found some really good results. And oftentimes you might see some research being done through that. Surveys sent out, people filling it out, and then they create charts and beautiful infographics on these. Now, what are the different touch points that your buyers are going through? And this is really where a lot of companies struggle, and it's totally normal because not everything that you do, and nobody goes through that straight line. I know this looks like a straight line, but people usually go through all these different things until they eventually make a purchase, retain them, and they become advocate of the brand. That means they feel very comfortable referring you to close people and they care about. So for instance, in the beginning phases, people might find you through word of mouth, maybe some PR, maybe an ad, and then they see your content somewhere because they click. Then they get email information. Pardon me, they follow you on social media. So that's consideration phase. Then they start getting maybe more direct email and one-to-one approach. They make a purchase, but that's not enough from an e-commerce perspective. You want to keep them coming back for more. Imagine one purchase and that's it, right? It's tough. They might then download your mobile app, and they go on through a community, and that's where they start engaging with you. And this is honestly what we're doing right now as part of our retention strategies. We want to teach you as much as possible. We want to spread the knowledge, and we're very passionate about it because we know you would believe in us. We're not just selling you a product and moving on. What we're doing is we're improving and we're helping you learn. And that's kind of the core values of what we do. And it's part of our retention strategy. And hopefully by providing you that value through our community and education, support, and also the product that's constantly improving, getting better, listen to your feedback. Many of you has become advocate to the product, and you recommend us to your friends and family. So that formula is really bulletproof, in my opinion, for anybody forming a business, is if you kind of understand where people go and flow through this, it's not difficult to make them advocate of your brand, given that you're providing a solid service that's needed in the market. Okay. So this is sort of like the general idea here. Create your perfect persona, understanding where this persona flows or how it flows through your purchase process, and synthesize how you want to build your campaign accordingly. And now, of course, determining and preparing your e-commerce campaign. What are these campaigns going to consist of? I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into the flow of each, but there are browse abandonment campaigns. This is in the early stages when somebody adds item to the cart and they leave. The product discovery phase, they're actually just discovering the product, asking questions. They want discounts. Product selection, and this you can do upsell, cross-sell. So I'm sorry, browse abandonment and cart abandonment, two different things. Then post-purchase transactions, product users and returns, how they, if they like the product or not, they review you, they stay with you, and repeat customers versus lost customers. So there are a lot of different things you can deploy, but if I am to sum up the top 10 e-commerce automations, that will be it, what you're looking at right now. Okay. I will dive deeper into many of these in a minute. But overall, every single company have deployed them. There's no reason why not to. There are already pre-made templates for you, be it on the content side, be it on the flow side, already. And by deploying these, obviously, you're touching the client at the right time. From a marketing perspective, if they are now users of the product, they will leave you a review. Imagine sending a review when somebody abandoned your cart, review request. That will be a disaster. And now we've seen it happen by not properly timing automation and by not properly having the right data integrated. Awesome. So before I dive into strategies and type of campaigns you can deploy, and I'm going to get a little bit technical here, how you can set it up in VBOT, not too technical, just a little bit, because it requires it. Can take any questions here, George, if we have anybody on your side.
No, Richard, it's fine for now. I'm not sure if you answered Stanislav. How does the retargeting in Facebook ads work? By creating custom audiences, but I think it's more a technical question.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of these where you can tell the system to automatically add someone's information to a custom audience you have on Facebook or AdWords. So the automation flow itself, maybe I'll show you in a second. These are great questions, Stanislav, so thank you for asking. But it's part of the flow and some of the things that we have in the campaign structure. I'm going to pull up VBOT on one side and go through these things on the left. Cool. We have 51 people. Thank you, everybody who joined us. This is midway through the presentation. What we covered so far is why deploy e-commerce marketing automation for your business, how to kind of get started, identifying your persona, the different touch points of the buyer, and obviously crafting your campaign accordingly. And now we're going to talk about sample campaigns that everybody in the e-commerce space should be deploying. And even some of these might apply for non-e-commerce businesses. Okay. And we're talking about e-commerce where you can actually make a purchase online. So that's like the core of an e-commerce nature. Pardon me. So yeah, let's dive deep into now the sample campaigns. So the first and most common one is a browse abandonment campaign. This could be done by tracking where people are landing on your site and the different products that they're using and they're not buying. So if I land on a t-shirt and I just bounce off the page before I even add it to the cart, that could be counted as a browse abandonment. Now, there are different ways to track it. Obviously, you need someone's emails. And this is why one of the magical things about that pop-up that you've seen on almost every single e-commerce website that shows up, the first thing you come in and it says, get 10% off if you sign up today for our email newsletter, or get your free delivery on us by providing your email. So there's always this incentive that's being shared on the first time purchase because they really wanted your email. The moment they do, they can now link your browsing behavior to your email. Okay, not always. Sometimes there are cookies involved and some private tracking and browsing, but they do ask you for emails because ultimately this is how they can link the two together. So if you provide your email, browse abandonment is highly likely possible. If you don't provide emails, you cannot do browse abandonment unless you're doing retargeting. Okay. And usually this comes in when the lead is discovering about your product or products, browsing around, visiting different accessories and things to learn if you are the right fit for them. Okay. Now that's the first one. It's a browse abandonment. It's based on just visiting different products and categories. Okay. Now the second one, actually I'm still with the first one. So within VBOT, there are ways to kind of build these. Not always successful. Sometimes the engine itself doesn't let us track it. Like I think Shopify have some limitations there with the API. But you can do it by using one of our filters, which is like the last product visited. And you can pair it with another filter, which is last product ordered. So this is a sample workflow. It starts in the beginning with the trigger. You can do the filtering on the spot. And based on that, you can send out an email, okay? Or an SMS. Although you see email, which is the most common, but you can actually deploy SMS strategy the same way that you deploy email, okay? So take into consideration the frequency. You may target prospects who view the product items 3 times. I don't think we have this filter in VBOT to be transparent, but we're just throwing out examples that could apply. Time spent on page, more than 5 minutes. So obviously, if somebody's staying on a product more than X amount of minutes, given that the page includes videos and tutorials, and to be consumed, it takes around a certain amount of time. I personally think 5 minutes is long. I would just do 1 minute. And more than 1 minute is plenty for somebody to show interest. Unless it's a 1 page, 1 product type of item. And yeah, I mean, you can do it by name or you can do it by ID. There are some technical limitations here in doing one versus the other, because sometimes the category name can be tricky. You might have 2 categories of the same name, but the IDs require you to know which, what is the ID programmed of that category, but you do need, but it's more accurate. So that's on that. Any questions?
We have a question, Richard, from Giza or Giza. Is vanity dedicated shortcodes on the roadmap in VBOT? For example, texting sale to, let's say, 555.
So Giza, no. We just use long form forms for now, integrated with Twilio, because most companies are not getting those expensive, heavy compliant shortcodes for many reasons. So we didn't have the need for them. Nobody has suggested it to our roadmap. So as far as I know, and I have to check the roadmap, this is not something that we have plans to integrate with. I know we have plans to integrate voice drops using Twilio. So you record a message and you just leave like a voicemail, but nothing to do with that. The second one is the cart abandonment. This is when somebody actually adds an item to the cart, which shows a lot more intent than just browsing the product. I could be browsing the product and not even be remotely interested in buying, just because I'm dopamine consuming at this point. So if I add something to the cart because I'm interested, obviously there's a cart abandonment cycle. And here you can get a little more aggressive with your discounts. And it's funny because when we built all these different campaigns for clients, I evidently learned that if I want to buy an item, I add it to the cart and I leave and I sign up and all. But I don't complete the purchase. And not always, but oftentimes I get an upsell, or I'm sorry, a coupon offer to try to get me back and convert, because that's a lost business, a lost sale opportunity, and they really want to get me back. So a little trick for you, you can throw in items in the cart, sign up, and just don't complete the purchase. Even though you need the product, wait a few days, you might get an offer. Okay, it's a little secret here to share. But obviously, it's something that when you add to the cart, you don't complete the purchase, but you need that email, right? The email needs to be tracked by the system of choice, be it VBOT or other. If we have it by somebody signing up on an account, that's the best way to do it, is that we can execute those cart abandonment emails. Okay. Cool. We have cart abandonment automation as well, which is how you can build it in VBOT. So we have a trigger called abandon cart, and the way VBOT does it is that we track the moment you add an item to the cart. And if you have multiple items, every time you add that item to the cart, we might actually reset the timer. We give you 30 minutes by default, because it's almost like the concept of you're abandoning that purchase until you make that purchase. So if somebody adds an item to the cart, we immediately assume they have 30 minutes. If they don't buy it, they're leaving. So that abandoned cart is hard-coded in VBOT to have 30 minutes by default. So we get the cart ID, we create it in the system, the timer begins. Some people like to give more than half hour, so they add a delay right here. And after the 1 hour, if no purchase is made, the email is sent. Okay, so you have an hour and a half time for someone to complete a purchase from the moment they add an item to the cart. Okay, that's very common. You don't have to add the hour, it's totally optional. You can be more aggressive and just keep it at half, or you can add 30 minutes. That's all optional. Okay, and then you send an email. Hey, you forgot something in the cart. And you can literally tell our AI content engine to create content for you around that, right? Which is pretty cool. And then you can synchronize this to a third party. So that's Facebook ads, custom audience, or Google custom audience. Or you can have even your own systems, like Salesforce. You can sync back to HubSpot, sync that data back to with phone numbers. So we have maybe outreach campaigns, people call it. Now, the beauty about this sequence is that the moment somebody makes a purchase, immediately kicks them out of the sequence. So it's automatically in kind of self-regulating, if you want to call it. And then you have wait 1 day, send an email again. So that's two emails in matters of 2 days. And ultimately add the tag of abandoned cart. If you stop here, you add the tag just to identify this person never made a purchase. Okay. Now the tag is optional. I like using tags, but that labels the person as a complete as a non-purchaser. Okay. Now what you do with that data later is totally up to you. But if, let's say, your client or your stakeholders are asking you, okay, how many people abandon carts, and can I have that information? If you have the tags added, you can instantly get that report to VBOT. Okay. Some people like to go even beyond 2 sequences, 2 emails. They add SMS messages to it. So that's reaching them on 3 different channels. And they go beyond 2. So they might have a 2-day cadence, and then they jump 3 days, and then they jump a week later. Okay. So it's almost like 4 different emails over the course of 9 days. Okay. Now, the rationale behind it is you want to be aggressive as possible. I believe a week is too far out. At that point, people might have already made a purchase unless you have a very long buying cycle. So you can be slightly different about it. Maybe just do 3 days back to back. And after that, move to plan C. All right. Now let's, these are all things that I just explained. All right. Any questions on cart abandonment automation, which is very easy to deploy? We have already built in triggers for. George?
No, we have no questions so far, Richard.
Awesome. All right, let's talk about upsells, because when people buy from you, they could buy more. Okay, giving somebody money, trusting them with that information, especially if they have good experience in the buying process, they're more likely to buy from you. This is why a lot of companies, the moment you make a purchase or in the checkout process, they ask you, would you also like to add this item to your cart? That was a very smart move that I believe started with Amazon. They recommend products to you on the go as you made a purchase. Or next time you make a purchase, just check the final page, which has a lot more options for you, which is the confirmation page, because dopamine level is at all-time high after the purchase is made, and people are more likely to make impulse buying. Now, whether this is ethical or not, it's a different story, right? Purely marketing here. But upselling products on the checkout is one way to do it. But with marketing automation, you can do it over time. Be it, depending on what you're selling, it could be an upgrade of the product. It could be a warranty on an item. It could be access to another academy if you have a couple of courses, so you can sell another course. So these are some of the case scenarios here. Now in Viva, you can set up some of these, and you can say when an item is purchased, wait 2 hours, and send them a browser push notification. 7 days, another browser push, 2 different products. And again, what you see here are just samples, guys. You can really remake this to fit your need. And you will notice we have an email going out and then a browser push going out. It could be an SMS as well, because naturally you're tracking phone numbers when someone purchases. So this is an upsell. And what you're upselling could be an upgraded version of the product. It could be an add-on to the product. It could be something related to the product. All right, you know your product your e-commerce store better to know what to propose here. Okay. All right. All right. I think, George, the reason why you added here browser push is because if somebody does not have an email, we can target them through browser push, given that they actually said yes to browser push. Sorry, guys, I missed that point. That was one of the things George suggested.
Yes,
all right,
exactly.
So upsell automation is a very easy thing. Every client in the e-commerce space have deployed e-commerce marketing automation has that.
Bill is asking if the browser push is built into Vbout. Yes, Bill, you don't have to use a third-party app for that. You can create them within Vbout.
Exactly. They're fully built in. We have tons of documentations on this. George, if you can just pull something out real quick from our knowledge base and drop it for them, that would be great. Okay.
Sure.
Now, cross-selling is almost similar to upselling, except it suggests products based on what others have purchased. Because sometimes buying patterns can be templated. You know, the person who buys an espresso machine are more likely to buy filters or more likely to buy coffee beans, and perhaps they might even buy some sweeteners with different flavors. So knowing this and what others have bought, you can create a cross-sell logic that's connected to the product. Cross-selling contribute 10 to 30% of e-commerce revenue. It seems like a very high number, and from something, if you have multiple products, of course, that's easy to set up. I don't see why not do it. So these are some of the cross-selling opportunities that you can deploy, and it's after somebody makes a purchase, so it needs to be done after the purchase, whereas upsell could be done during the purchase process as integrated e-commerce page and an email as well. This one is most likely just an email follow-up. So from a cross-sell perspective, this is a sample automation. Somebody completes the purchase, you wait 1 day, you send out an email with, it could be the thank you email, or the additional products of what others have bought. Now, VBot has a small machine learning feature inside the email builder itself that suggests products to people who made purchases from you based on how others have done those purchases too. So that's fully integrated. If you haven't used it, I encourage you to check it out. So let me see if I can show you an example here of how you can do that. All right, so we got an email template here. Sorry, I'm getting this ready. Design and no template design. All right, so some things here to know. Create a series of email after customers have made a purchase from you. So if they buy t-shirts, send them future emails based on other closing that might complement that initial. So I think this is just general knowledge here, but let me show you how you can do that in VBout. So this is our email builder. We have an e-commerce specific section here, which has star products, recommended products, retargeting, categories retargeting. I believe it's the recommended products one. You will notice right here, it's asking how many products do we recommend to your customers, and to mix it from how many categories altogether. So some people say just recommend all 4 products or 6 products from the same exact category. Some might ask to have half, so 3 from category 1, 3 from category 2, and prioritize based on what that one person that we're sending the email to has abandoned the cart or viewed the most. I believe these 2 are the most common, like completed orders. So what the system will do is it will look at other people who bought specific products and what you have bought and will suggest those products to you. Okay, very simple feature, and this content is dynamic, so obviously once you send it, it's going to change to your own product. And in terms of the AI integration here with like e-commerce, let me see, do we have something cross-sell right here? That's a cross-sell example. So product purchased, I'm just going to say VBout shirts. Recommended related products, it could be VBout lifetime lightning bolt support. And how many variations. So the system is going to generate a copy for you from an upsell perspective that you can get inspirations from. Obviously, you always need to take that content and copy it, use it as your own, and personalize it. Okay, very easy. So I'm going to save this and save this. So now in the future, I'll have them in my save tab. Pardon me. All right. That we have order completion. This one is very straightforward. And George, I noticed we missed something here. So when somebody completes an order, we sync to a third party for maybe upsell ads on Facebook. It could be sent to your sales CRM. But you can also wait 5 minutes to send the first confirmation email. And you can pull from automation if you have a cart abandonment, but you don't need to do that, George. It's actually done automatically because the system knows that the purchase is made. What you can do instead of this is remove the tag from the profile. Okay, so you can simply say remove the abandoned cart tag and add a client tag. So this tag switch is an important part of this step. A lot of people miss it. You don't want to end up with somebody with the abandoned cart tag when they actually made a purchase, right? So that's something that we would put here instead of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, so this is very straightforward, and the cart order completion is something that's usually built directly into your e-commerce. So if you want to skip that first email, it's fine, but you can do the rest of the stuff like synchronize it to third party, pull from another automation, remove a tag, send them an email a few days later, stuff like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the order completion could be by itself separate automation, since, as you mentioned, you can do series of other stuff. Maybe you want to send them post-purchase email or a product review after a couple of days. So it doesn't necessarily should be within the same cart abandonment automation, and that's why we put it separately.
Exactly. All right, so what you can do here also, and I just wanted to show you 2 things, right? Because some people confuse, and it's a lot of information. This is a completed order example. It's a widget in VBout. We know exactly what the products were purchased, and we will fill this dynamic content for you. You can definitely control the design of this. You can hide order IDs. You can change it up, right? This is all fully customizable. If you're using your own built-in integrated e-commerce, send the details, that's fine. Some people, they send a welcome email from the CEO side by side with this email, which I believe ideally could be coming out from here. The reason being for that is you want people to engage with your emails when they make a purchase, because that improves your email reputation, which ultimately leads in the future when you're sending out upsell campaigns, newsletters, because of the previous open, you will land in the inbox. So that kind of compounded effect of you doing these simple things are actually going to be chain reaction. So I recommend using the welcome series with your automation engine, VBout ideally. Even if you're using your default built-in email welcome with order confirmation, you can add your own welcome from the CEO as well. Okay. All right, then you have a new product offer here, which is straightforward, and this is what follows before. If you had people engage with your email, you can send confidently new product offers. I've seen companies do this very well, where they burn the price on an item and they upsell the heck out of that purchase process, right, with a bunch of emails. So you can use that strategy of sending product offers, burning the price of a product, selling it at cost, but having a lot of upsell opportunities after that. So new product offers can be done. Obviously, this is going to be budget permitting and depending on what you're selling, whether it's holiday or not, but it's easily done in VBout. You can program those sequences to go out, whether it's repeat or once, and you can send out the email. You can pair it with an SMS, and it's very easy to do that. You can see if a promo code was used or not as well, if that's one thing you're doing or you've been sending, and you can send out a follow-up email, or you can stop the sequence. So here George added the filter that says the promo code is not used, which is called redeemed, right? So if you're sending a welcome series and you're providing a promo code and the person has not used it, this could be detected and you can send a follow-up promo. Okay,
Exactly. Yes.
cool.
And again, guys, as Richard mentioned, you can do the same with SMS, and you can simultaneously send email and SMS, not just emails. And these automations are examples. So of course you can create it based on your own preferences.
Yeah, and VBout, I mean, the automation itself is super easy, guys. It looks a lot more intimidating than it actually is. So I'm just gonna show you an example here. All the filters are automatically built into the system. Ideally, every system you choose should have these features, not be too complicated. But all I need to do is just double click on things, which I call them filters. I'm going to add a condition, and I can type in, promo code, and you can see it under the category ecom, and is not, or contains, or does not contains. Pardon me. Okay. Cool. All right, we got to speed through the rest. We're coming to the top of the session. We have product review requests. I love these guys. I do them all the time. We do them in VBout. We have them baked into our sequence. People evaluate, they buy, we send them welcome email. When I do onboarding, I do some of these things manually as well to offer review. A lot of these review channels offer incentives. Do not miss out on the chance to ask your clients for reviews. The word of mouth referral is huge. It's probably number one leading businesses, the source of business. So leverage it. And you can build case studies based on these things as well, on your website and landing pages and such. Okay. Social proof, I think, is one of the, because people used to call and make purchases. Now they look at websites, they look at social proof, reputable social proof, and they make purchase decision. So 97% of leads consult reviews before making a purchase, right there. Okay. And the way you ask for a review is also very straightforward, guys. We have an article on this, right, George? Is when you should ask, or when you should send the email asking for a review, email and SMS.
Yes, and
So
we
if,
added it on the resources in the last slides.
oh, okay, you added that resource. Cool. So if it's seasonal, how much you should wait. If it's a hard sell product, how much you should wait. That kind of stuff. Cool. This is an example. People complete an order. If you know the estimated shipping is going to be a few days, they're going to consume the product within X amount of days. You can send the first review and wait 7 days. Have a little filter here that says that checks if the person clicked on the review link that you provided here. And if not, then send them the second email. So it could be like a very simple process as well. Okay. If you want to send it to existing clients because you didn't have this before, you can create a custom event and you can send it to clients that order a specific product over a certain value. If somebody purchased twice, maybe that's a good person who is happy with the product that could leave you a review. Pardon me. Now, if the review is negative or not, that's going to be a little bit hard to detect depending on the channel you use. Maybe you detected or you know a client left you a bad review. You can drop in a tag and then send them a different email to say, "Oh, we apologize for your experience. We'd love to make it up to you. Maybe your next order is going to be on us of some sort." Right?
Yeah, and I mean here, Richard, with a negative review is not just not necessarily automatically to be done automatically using VBout. It could be the way you mentioned, like someone is tracking, let's say, Yelp or another website, and the manager can observe each review, whether it's positive or negative. And if it's negative, they can reply privately to recover their bad experience.
Yes, and obviously this is manual work a little bit, which is not something we're preaching. We're preaching full automation if necessary. But when it comes to bad experiences, I mean, I read every single review myself because you want to learn, right? You don't want to just fully be independent of the process. You want to be on top of it. So a little bit of manual work involved here in case of it's a negative review. So yeah. Cool. Then we have recurrent products. The way this works is you need to have a product that needs to be refilled. I'll give you a great example. The vitamins and supplements world, right? You buy a 30-day supply. Do you really want to wait for the client to buy it again every month? No. You most likely want to offer some sort of a membership. Okay, that automatically renews every month and ships the product on that basis. A huge opportunity here for businesses. Large amount of businesses were built and have thrived because they offered a subscription model on their physical products or perishable products. So be it a supplement, be it shampoos and soaps, you know, even Amazon now, they have it on all sorts of products, toilet paper, I believe. So, I mean, that sort of recurrent product email can be done. You can do it through VBout as long as you put in like an expiration date. It's super simple. It's baked into our system. We have a filter for expiration dates. That just means the recurrent date due. And you can create automations like a week before, the day before, the day after, depending on when how much your shipping takes. Really powerful stuff, guys. Definitely deploy recurrent products if people keep on coming back from you. This is an example here, completed order, wait 92 days. But I also have a filter here, which maybe I can show you guys, is based on that. It's called a custom event. Double click it. And here I have, just give me a moment. So if I type in expiry, it says order product expiry date. All you need to do, just make sure that you have that synced to VBout via the API or via your choice. And then you have all these different variables. It's after exact dates, before X amount of days from today. So it's 2 days in the future. Here we go. All right. And send out an email reminder. And the content of the email itself can be dynamic enough to understand the product that's about to expire, because this automation will send a flag to the email, and the dynamic email will pick the product of choice and send it to the person. So it's a really powerful feature to have that's supported by VBout. Okay. All right, sorry, I usually talk about this stuff and I speed through it. You'll have birthday reminders. If you're detecting birthdays, that's great. If you're kind of collecting those on the checkout, if you're not, you can get creative and do the birthday of the first purchase, which is something we track in Vivout. So you can send a coupon, you can send a certain amount off, you can send a free item included on the birthday. People appreciate this, especially when they hold something in their hand and they actually can feel it. So if you're offering a digital service, think about sending a physical product. We haven't done it in Vivout, which is something I was hoping to do, but our clients are scattered so much across the world, and obviously it's a slightly tricky industry. But birthdays, birthday reminders in the e-commerce space is huge. Definitely look into it. So according to experts, the open rates for birthday emails are 3 times higher. And also SMS, guys, please, although I talk email, always think SMS as well, if possible. And this is an example of a birthday automation sequence, which checks the day of the birthday and accordingly sends out an email and an SMS message. Okay. So these are some basic things that you can deploy on the email side and SMS side when it comes to birthday reminders. All right. Almost there, guys. Coming to the end of the presentation, and then I'll share some resources with you. So re-engagement campaigns are for those who haven't purchased from you. You might want to reactivate them. You know, what is the reason for them not buying? This is an example from Blue Apron. You can restart or reactivate delivery if somebody had paused that membership. Somebody hasn't bought for 6 months. You can send them an email saying, yeah, we haven't seen you. We have a new product announcement, or we have a little special buy 2 for 1 kind of deal. So you can regain some revenue by doing re-engagement campaigns. And this is an example of an engagement campaign. You run a specific date trigger. You check on the last engagement date, but also, and I want to be more specific because George, last engagement date is not e-commerce specific. So I can do my trigger to be recurrent. And I can go to my target and I can say last purchase date, last order date, I think. There we go. And now Vivout knows the last time this person ordered something, and then you can see those comparative options for your dates before a certain amount of days, after a certain amount of days, between. You can even do dynamic compares. If you have 2 different custom variables parsed to Vivout in form of like fields, you can compare date A to date B, all right? So these are some of the engagement campaigns. Obviously, the frequency will depend, and the last engagement date will depend. If your product is most likely to be purchased every month, you don't want to send them after 6 months, right? You might want to be more aggressive and wait a month and a half. And that's it. This was the last example. I can think about dozens more. But how do you guys feel right now about all these different samples that we covered? So if I am to go through them again, one by one, there we go. We have, I'm going to exit this view. So we have browse abandonment. That's 1. Cart abandonment. That's 2. Upsell, 3. Cross-sell, 4. Order completion, 5. Product offer, special offer, 6. Product review, 7. Recurrent product, 8, but that could be like depending on the business. Birthday, 9, and re-engagement campaign, 10. So these are 10 right off the bat, guys. I'm pretty sure many of you will think about a lot, and you can get creative with this. All right, George, any questions before we share our resources and we can wrap up for the day?
Yeah, we have a question from Sergio on Facebook.
Sure.
Can we integrate other than WooCommerce and Shopify?
Sergio, yes, you can. There are 2 ways to do it. 1, use our API. I have an open API. It requires dev build. It's not too hard. It's like a couple of years experience in dev work should do. 1 week integration tops. We also have Sync Spider. We have a special integration with them. They integrate our e-commerce library, Sync Spider. So they integrate with several e-commerce shop, and they could have some integration. It's not the complete spectrum, but you can integrate order purchase, abandoned cart, and a few others as well. So these are the 2 things that you can do right now as an available option. Anything else, George? Bill asking, do you have a service where if we build an automation, we can fill out a questionnaire and have someone look it over and provide feedback, guidance, spot check for any issues? So Bill, I think this is a very simple form. So you can email people a link to a form, which you can build in VBout, and you can have the questionnaire on the form. Yeah, absolutely, you can do that. Okay. So that's for Bill. And I have Henry. Thank you, Henry, for the feedback. Appreciate it. We have a lot of sample automations created in VBout. Absolutely. So if you're wondering how to build some of these, and please do not just take them at face value. I want you to be critical. You can go in here, choose our automation templates, filter by ecom, and I think you have, George, you have all of these in there? Here you go. I think you have them all.
Yes, Richard. Yes, I'm sharing it with you.
7, 8, 9, 10. There are 11 or 12 in here. Cool.
Yes, exactly.
So Stanislav, we asked me about education specific. I can tell you again, some of the stuff that I said applies directly to you, like the purchase, anniversary, cart abandonment. You can do upselling on other courses as well, or workshops. You can track the modules people take and automate email follow-ups if they, let's say, they don't complete the course. If you have a free module in the course that you're providing before people need to purchase, you can obviously create a flag there and send it back to VBout in form of a tag, very simple, and have that tag be the trigger for further automations. Okay, I just don't want to forget that. So Bill, yes, we can have somebody help with automation if you need it. Just email support. I'm not sure what kind of questions you want, if it's technical or just general feedback. Email support at vbout.com. I think maybe they could guide you. Just say that you came from the event, and we'll try to provide some feedback. Some of the guys could be more technical than high level kind of consultative approach. But drop them a question and let's see how we can take it from there. Okay. So Steve is asking about Sync Spider, George. Do you mind dropping in a link to our Sync Spider? By the way, guys, you can go into your integrations tab actually. Go to Sync Spider right here, click on it, and that should open up the page where they integrate with us. Okay. Cool. So answer live. Now, finally, guys, I have some resources for you before I let you all go. Worth looking at: 8 email marketing trends for e-commerce, 6 e-commerce recognition strategy for e-commerce store, e-commerce funnel analysis by PillowCube. We analyze their funnel from ad to purchase, how to create an automation to convert cart abandoners, and how to create an automation to get customer reviews. So there's 4 different topics that George will provide, and we'll send you the content of this presentation, by the way. How to win back your customers with re-engagement campaign, solid e-commerce funnel by Tulori, the future of email marketing, 21 abandoned cart examples to get inspired. This is a really nice article there. And how to use browse abandoned campaigns to convert your visitors. So if you need to learn more, there are lots of them. They will be included in the slide. George will share it with you after the event. Cool. So somebody's saying that they got billed $15 for support. Is this for all questions or specific questions? I think the $15 is just for doing deep technical work and getting immediate response. That shouldn't be for that question, no. So why don't you do this? Just mention me on the email and tell them this is reference to Rich. Give me some feedback about your question, and I can see what I can do to give you some review feedback, okay? I appreciate you coming to this call, so I'm willing to reciprocate back effort and help you out as much as possible.
We get questions about our updating our landing page builder, and the dev team are working on it. There's no ETA for it yet, but we will announce it once we have it officially rolled out.
I mean, it's an active build from scratch, which is a huge campaign. I mean, there are some startups that just do that, right? So we're doing it, but it's fully integrated with Viva. It's been about almost 8 months in the works. We're hoping to have something in next quarter. That's my goal. But again, guys, in our line of work, you know, some things sometimes can divert. You lose a resource. You have to train new developers. There's always this kind of back and forth and delays. Totally normal. All right, let's see here. E-commerce library. Yes, I'll give you a link. If you go to our website and scroll all the way to the bottom, you're going to see our API link. So here we go. And you'll see e-commerce integration at the top. So this is where you can find all the resources on it, how to sync cart data, order data, intent data. Okay, very nicely put together library. All right. Pamela, we will send you the presentation via email follow-up. Please support us by opening and clicking. That improves our reputation. And thank you so much for attending. Some of these links also George dropped in the chat. All right. Cool. Anything else, George, before we wrap up?
No, let me check. Can you share? Okay, I think you answered Russell, right, Richard? Sharing your API support for how to integrate custom shopping carts.
All right.
Yeah, I think this is it, Richard. I'm checking Facebook, but it's fine there as well.
Cool. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Again, many of you have stayed up late or way past the wee hours to attend this. So high respect to you guys. And even if you are still on the East Coast hours or even West Coast, thank you for putting in the time. We will do another session next month as usual, discussing an amazing topic as usual. Everything that we shared today will be shared with you. And if you have a need for a marketing automation platform, my team is on standby. George will drop in the link in the chat. You can talk to our success team. They will guide you if Viva is the right fit for you, be it e-commerce integrations or just non-e-commerce specific. Again, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Nico from Spain. And we will meet you next month at the same time. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys. We look forward to seeing you next time.
And thank you, George, for all the help.
You're welcome.